Hello and welcome to this lecture of physics. So in today's lecture, we are going to study a topic called as projectile motion. Now that way projectile motion comes under the category of motion in two dimensions, simply because a projectile motion when depicted on a plane looks something like this. So the trajectory or the path that is followed by a projectile or this object is called a parabola. So this is a mathematical curve, of course, and it's a parabola. Now this projectile motion can be in different ways. For example, a projectile can be depicted this way, wherein it is projected at some angle theta. So this is one type. The other kind of projectiles can be something like this, wherein you are exactly dropping it from here with a horizontal velocity. So something like this can happen, or else if it is here also, if it is projected at some angle, then if this is the horizontal, then it can be projected at this angle and it can fall like this. So this is one way, or else the third one can be when it is projected at some other angle. This is the horizontal, of course, so it is projected like this. This also can be another one. The fourth one can be possibly on an inclined plane. Let's say this is an inclined plane, and if this is the projectile, then this can be upward projectile, or else if same projectile is thrown from here, then it can look like this, wherein this is the direction of projection. So these are the different kinds of projectiles that we can expect, and now we will analyze the projectile motion in detail with the help of equations. Now when we talk about a projectile motion, we have to have a base of all the equations of motion. For example, if you are having three equations of motion, so in motion in one dimension, we study the three equations of motion, and they are as follows. First one is V is equal to U plus AT. The second one is S is equal to UT plus half AT square. And the third one is V square is equal to U square plus 2AS. Now what is happening exactly over here is that, let me explain you all the variables that are given. So this is the initial velocity of the particle, this is the final velocity of the particle, this is the acceleration, and this is the time. So all these variables, if mentioned apart from here, then they remain the same. S is the displacement of the particle. So rest of the terms are familiar. Now all these three equations of motion are actually connected to each other, and this is for one dimension. That means when the particle is moving in a straight line motion, that time we apply these three equations. But what if the particle is travelling in two directions simultaneously? For example, if you consider the projectile, then this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. So given a particular point, you take a random point in this trajectory, for example this point, it will have some x and it will have some y simultaneously. So which means that to locate a given point in the trajectory, we need x comma y to define that particular point. That is why it is called motion in two dimensions. So when we are talking about projectile motion, we will have to write the same equations, but now we will have to analyze them separately for x and separately for y. So let's do this and see what way we can apply this. Now if I apply the first equation, let us see the first equation. So the first equation is given as V is equal to U plus AT. I will write it only for x direction. So x is my concern here, that is I am considering initial velocity in x, final velocity in x, acceleration in x direction, and at a certain point of time. Now if you clearly see, when the object is thrown like this, it is just given some initial velocity. Let's consider that this velocity is u. So the velocity which is along x can be written as u cos theta, because we have learned the resolution of vectors. According to that, if this is the component, then this component which is aligned adjacent to this theta, that is u cos theta, and this component which is perpendicular is u sin theta. So initial velocity ux we can write as u cos theta. So u cos theta, and if you observe, there is no acceleration in x direction. There is no separate acceleration in x direction, simply because there is no external force that is acting in the x direction. However, in the y direction, that is perpendicular here, there is one force, and we know that. That is the force of gravity. So gravity will always act but in y direction. Now because this is thrown on top, what we know now is that ay for sure we can write, and that is going to be minus g j cap. Now why minus j cap? It's because gravity is always acting in the bottom direction, downward direction. That is why I have written minus g cap. Now once we have achieved this, ax is going to be 0, because I have told you that there is no external force acting in the x direction. That is the reason why ax will be 0. So what we get ultimately is Vx is u cos theta. This also tells us that the velocity in x direction from here to here, you take any point, it's going to remain the same forever, because there is no acceleration acting over here, as a result of which the velocity would not change and would remain the same. Now that is for x. What if we apply the same equation in y? Let's see. So Vy is going to be uy plus ay t. So going by this rule, what will happen now is that Vy is going to be uy. Uy is going to be u sin theta, because we saw that this initial velocity y component is u sin theta, and ay we can definitely write as minus g, because now we are throwing the object against the force of gravity. That is the reason why I am writing minus g. And normally when we throw anything on top, let's say we have a ball and this is thrown on top with some initial velocity. So while writing this equation, I am going to write as v is equal to u minus gt, because gravity is acting downwards. The direction of acceleration is this way and we are throwing it on top. So definitely this is against the gravity. That is why we are writing minus g. So this is going to be gt. So this is what is going to be Vy. So at a certain point, if you want to find the x and y components of the velocity, let's say we have reached over here, the Vy is going to be here and Vx is going to be here. You can clearly see that given a particular angle, at that particular angle, we can definitely find the Vy component and Vx component as well, provided we have that time. So that is the difference. Now let us analyze the other two equations also and see what we get out of them. So now the time has come to judge this equation. So let's go into that and see what we get. Let's keep this recorded here and I'll utilize this space. So if I see this equation now, then I'm going to write Sx is going to be uxt again plus half ax t square. And now we know that ax is again going to be 0. So let's wipe it off. So Sx, displacement in x direction, is going to be ux, that is u cos theta into t. Now there is one concept over here in projectile motion, that is called range of the projectile. Now what is range of the projectile? Range of the projectile is the horizontal distance covered by this projectile is called range. That means if I take the starting point as A and the final point as B, then this distance AB is called range of the projectile. Now if I consider that this entire trajectory over here takes time t, so we need to find that much time, how much time it requires, and if we put that time over here in this equation, then we will get the equation of range, which we are going to do very soon. For now this is Sx, that is what we have understood. Let us similarly write Sy. Sy is going to be ux, so it's going to be u by t plus half a by t square. Now going by this rule, we can write Sy is going to be u sin theta into t minus half g t square, because g is acting in vertical direction. That is the reason I have got this equation here. Now somehow, if I combine both the equations, here, then I'll get what I want. Now even before I combine that, what we will do is, you can see that if I consider this point, then this is 0, 0 origin. So Sx and Sy both are 0 over here, because this is the starting point. There is no displacement in x, there is no displacement in y. However, if I consider this point, what is this point going to be? It's going to be this entire range that is covered in x. So x coordinate is going to be r, and y coordinate, if you see, is going to be 0, because it has reached maximum y over here, then y keeps decreasing with time, then finally it comes to 0. So as a result of it, I can write one thing over here, that is, now if I want to find the time at which y becomes 0 again over here, I am going to write 0 here, because displacement in y has become 0 now. So let's apply that and let's find what time we get. So let me do it over here. So this equation I am going to take, Sy is equal to u sin theta into t minus half gt square. So Sy becomes 0 and we get such an equation, u sin theta t minus half gt square. Now let us take t common, because we are interested in time. So we want that time at which this projectile is going to be having 0 displacement in y. So first 0 displacement in y comes over here, and second 0 displacement in y comes over here. So t, if I take out common, what I'll have is u sin theta minus gt by 2 is equal to 0. So we get two solutions over here. One solution is t is equal to 0. That's perfect, because first displacement in y 0 happens at t equals to 0 at the starting point, and then I am going to find this t. So you see that if I equate this to 0, I will get 2u sin theta by g as time. So this is the time at which the projectile will have attained 0 displacement in y. The displacement in x is r, the range. However, the displacement in y is going to be 0. So there are 2 points of time at which displacement in y is 0. One is at origin, the other one is here at a final point. So that time is 2u sin theta by g. This time is called time of flight. So the amount of time taken for the projectile to cover the distance AB is called time of flight. So the formula for time of flight is 2u sin theta by g. Now once we have achieved this, we can definitely find the range, because range is nothing but this Sx. So in place of this time, if I put this time of flight, then all that I'll get is a range. So let's do it. So if I go by that equation, Sx is going to be the range, r is going to be u cos theta into time, where this time is nothing but time of flight. So u cos theta into 2u sin theta by g. If you multiply this, then what we get is 2u square So let's write it again. U square 2 sin theta cos theta by g. So 2 sin theta cos theta, in trigonometry you will learn that you can make it as a note over here. 2 sin theta cos theta can also be written as sine of 2 theta. This is a formula in trigonometry. According to that, I am going to make that substitution. So u square sine 2 theta by g is the value of this range. So now we have got the range. Now let's dive a bit deeper into this topic, and now we will also find what is the maximum possible height that can be achieved by this projectile. So let's take up that case now. Now if you see, it's a common sense that if this entire thing is considered symmetric and if this is achieved at time t, this point, then definitely this is achieved in half the time. So if this takes 10 seconds from here to here, to reach from here to this point, it will take 5 seconds, half the time. So we are interested in t by 2. So if I take t by 2 from there, t by 2 definitely becomes u sin theta by g. And with this t by 2, we can find y, because now we have the equation for y as well. So we are going to use the same equation now, but this is what we have to find. So let's do it. So again, if I choose this equation sy, this is going to be u sin theta into t minus half gt square. But this time t is going to be u sin theta by g. So u sin theta into u sin theta by g minus half g u sin theta by g the whole square. So ultimately what we get is u square sin square theta by g minus u square sin square theta by 2g, because one g and the other g will get cancelled over here. So ultimately when you subtract both of them, what we get is u square sin square theta by 2g. This is nothing but height. So we have got the expression for height now. So h max would be given as u square sin square theta by 2g. Now that we have understood majority of the basic concepts related to projectile motion, it's time to learn something different, and the last thing probably in this particular set, that is called equation of trajectory. So using all the details that I have actually shown you over here, I am going to find out the equation of trajectory. So we know that x, sx I am going to mention as x over here, and I will mention sy as y. So if you consider sx, we know that it is going to be x equals to u cos theta into t, and as far as y is concerned, we can write y as u sin theta into t minus half gt square. So now if you see, t can be written as x by u cos theta. T can be written as x by u cos theta. So I will write this as u sin theta x by u cos theta over here we are going to write half g x by u cos theta the whole square. So if we substitute this entirely, this u and u will go and we will get an equation like x tan theta minus gx square by 2 u square cos square theta. This is called equation of trajectory. Now what is the use of equation of trajectory? So given a particular x, we can definitely find y at that point of time. That is the use of this equation. So if I tell you that this particular x I want is y, what is the y corresponding to this x? If you want to find that, then you can of course use this equation. This is called equation of trajectory.